Hey there, everybody. I've got a really powerful training for you. So please say hi. Let me know who's here. Let me know who's watching. And I think you're going to really appreciate today's training. I know it was a big, big takeaway for me. So, what if the way you are working from home, what if it's wrong? What if what you've been doing is wrong? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about today. Hey there, everybody. It's Kate Beaters, your breakthrough success expert. And what I want to share with you today is talking about multitasking. I mean, how many of you out there multitasking? Like raise both hands, right? And I remember being younger and applying for my first jobs and having on my resume like I'm a great multitasker and being on interviews and tell my boss I'm a great multitasker. I can do like 52,000 things at once. Just keep giving them to me and I can get them all done, right? Because multitasking was always considered and has been considered a really valuable trait to show that you're capable of doing more than one thing, and kind of showing like you're intelligent and coordinated and all this kind of stuff. Well, I'm here today to talk to you about stopping multitasking. Right? Stop, as I used to say, like stop the madness. So here, let me share what's been going on is that neuroscientists and researchers have actually discovered that only 3% of the population can multitask effectively. Only 3%, right? And it's not you and me, because what they're finding is it's people who work in jobs such as an emergency room doctor, a highly skilled pilot, people like that. And if you are an ER doctor and you're watching this, like please post on here. But most of us are not. And so that means 97% of us are really, really not great at multitasking. In fact, they're finding that, we typically make mistakes when we multitask. So these are things like if you've ever sent out an email and the person says, "Oh, you forgot the attachment," or yesterday I was waiting for someone to send me an email and I even contacted them back and they swore I sent it, I sent it to you, and they're like, maybe something's wrong. They were insistent something was wrong with my email, and it turns out they had, transposed two letters in my name, and that's why I wasn't getting it. So when you're multitasking, it's really easy for mistakes to happen. Some mistakes are bigger than others, and some are not as important. It really depends on who the multitasking is for. If it's just something kind of little, it's not going to be a big deal. But let's say you're sending something to a prospective client and you have the wrong email address, or by accident you put the wrong name, or you forget the attachment. That's going to be a pretty big deal. Versus if you are sending your friend something and you forget to add something, then that's not as important. But in work, it is. And what they've also discovered, these researchers, is that the tasks that you're doing, so let's say you're doing two things at once, you're multitasking, you know, I always assumed, and you probably did too, is that that meant these two tasks would be fine. But what they've uncovered is that both of them are, to excuse my language, are being done half-ass. And so not only do you not have two projects completed well, you don't even have one. You have two that are kind of not so great. And so what that means is that back at the end of the day, you've got to go back and fix it, right? Because if you've sent someone an email and you forgot the attachment, you've got to go back and then add the attachment. Or if you used the wrong email address, or if you put the wrong name, all sorts of things, you've got to go back and fix it. And especially, I know a core value for so many people, especially women, is this need to be liked, and also for all people, like how we're seen. So when you're seeing that you're making mistakes, it starts to erode your self-esteem. So that's going on. And then I've also discovered that it makes you more stressed out. Okay. Because obviously you're trying to juggle all these things at one time. It's crazy. It's really crazy, and we all knew before about cars, with your phone, and they would say like, don't be holding your phone while you're driving because you're likely to have an accident, or or something like that. But what they've also discovered through research is it's not even just holding the phone, even hands free, when it's over the speaker, even that is taking your attention off the road. So multitasking shows up everywhere, both personal life, professional life. We're constantly doing it all the time. And I'm really here to start making you aware of it and help you start shifting some things. And I want to share something really interesting about how the brain works. And I'm going to share that with you in a moment. First, I just want to remind you that I am doing an upcoming event next month, and it's called Strategize for Success. And during that day, it's a virtual day, we're going to be planning out your next quarter. And that's important because, as that old expression goes, a dream without a plan is just a dream. So I want to help you put something together so you know what you need to do, how you need to do it, when you need to do it, get to do it by. So it's going to give you a lot of clarity and make your process a whole lot easier. But what is really different about this event is that it isn't just going to be a lot of like action steps. We're really going to be focusing in on your mindset because mindset is at least 90 to 95% of your success or your failure. So if you've got beliefs, which we all do, like, what if I don't do a good job, or I've tried before and it hasn't worked, or there's too much competition, or with everything going on, what makes me think I should do it, or why bother, all those kinds of things, we're going to be doing tapping around that to start to shift, your old stories, your negative beliefs around this and help you come from a more positive place. We're also going to be pulling in laws of attraction because the thought process for laws of attraction is much more affirmative and much more powerful, and we want you to start thinking that way as opposed to being fear-based. And I'm also going to be sharing neuroscience tips and tricks as we go through the day to help you go through your day more effectively, more purposely, and with more clarity, and most importantly at the end of the day to not feel like you've been rung through the ringer. That you're going to feel, you're going to feel good at the end of the day. So the way you can join us, if you go to katebeaters.com/intensive, that's katebeaters.com/intensive, and you can go ahead and register. And one thing to let everyone know is that I am doing this with a smaller group because I want this to be a bit of a more one-on-one type of experience as much as possible, where there's opportunity for participants to ask questions, to get support. And so where I am limiting the group size, you'll notice that the pricing is based accordingly. However, really good news is that if you register today, there is early bird pricing. It's not going to last for long, so I would recommend register right away. And again, that's katebeaters.com/intensive. Now, I want to share the last thing about multitasking with you because I think this was so fast. I'm just fascinated by this topic because I know with me, I've been working at home the last, I don't know, 10, 11 years now. And I'm just so much more aware of multitasking. And what they're finding too is that it isn't even just, besides the fact of doing two things at once, it also could be if you're jumping task to task to task, that is also creating a lot of stress and anxiety. Um, there used to be this commercial years ago. I was a little kid. Some of you may remember and this commercial, and I don't remember the exact words, but it was a woman, and she was dressed in a suit, and there was a little ditty, and that's why I remember it because of the song. And it was something like, um, "You can bring home the bacon, you can fry it up in a pan, and then you can serve it to your man." I mean, it was something like that. And the woman had um, in one arm she had the baby, and the other arm she had like the briefcase, and like I said, she's dressed in the suit. I don't remember what the product was that they were selling, but what they were trying to say is, hey women, you can go after whatever you want. However, the message was, hey women, you can go after whatever you want, but you better do it all at one time. And hence there's a lot of, misnomers about women being better multitaskers. And that's really been a lot of pressure put on us by society that we've got to do all these things at one time. And as you've probably seen, there's been so many articles and talks lately about stress because at some point it's just is too much. So what I'm really appreciative of being able to share multitasking with you is the fact that it's allowing you to be aware of this is a stressor. This is a stressor, okay? And so what can you start to do differently? That's a challenge for you. First be aware of it, right? Because awareness is the first key. Start noticing when you're multitasking, and then start challenging yourself. So when can you start to reduce multitasking? I don't expect everyone, even myself, is going to stop multitasking, but I look at it that if all of us can cut it back just a little bit, 1%, 5%, 10%, whatever, that's going to obviously reduce our error rate, which is good with that. We don't have to, because I hate going back to fix something, and also it's going to keep our stress level down. And that's what's most important. We're not here on earth to be stressed out. That's not the purpose. So I want you to be thinking about that. I'm going to be diving in more at the one day event, which again is katebeaters.com/intensive. That's strategize for success. And go ahead, grab your early bird pricing. Or if you prefer, you could also talk to me about private coaching, and that's info@katebeaters.com. If you email my team, they'll get us connected and we can set up a time to connect. So this is really powerful. This is really, really powerful. And one last thing I do want to share, which I thought was really cool, is I always figured when we multitask, the brain just kind of was like, okay, splitting off almost like this side's doing this thing and this side's doing that thing. Actually, what's happening is the brain is bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball. So, which just shows you why in all this research they're finding most of us we multitask, we make mistakes, and hence creating more stress because we think too what we're doing to our brain, right? So, love to hear how you start changing things for you, and also love to have you at my event, or if I can help you further, info@katebeaters.com. And if you appreciate this training, please share it with your community. So until we meet again, be brilliant.